Okay, so this presentation is by myself and Rachel Hendershot on gang violence and domestic violence populations. First, culturally, with the media plays a complex role when it comes to violence, though there are many contributing factors to violence that cannot be explained completely in the media. There are studies that suggest watching violent TV or playing violent video games could increase the risk for violence. There continues to be disturbingly high rates of. The cycle of violence is notorious. Above is the cycle that can happen over and over again throughout the span of the abuse or violence. There's no specific time frame for each step. Each case is very individual. The cycle of violence also can happen when a child is exposed to violence and grows up to repeat the behavior. So first you have tension building, then the violent episode, and then the remorseful/honeymoon phase. And it can repeat itself, which is why it's cyclical in nature. The legal/political system. The law can play a crucial role in helping to prevent violence. There are different types of violence, but in the law's eyes, all violence can be considered a crime. There can be different levels, such as federal crimes. Violence can become a federal crime when certain laws are broken. Each state can differ on what protective laws are available for victims of abuse. For example, emotional abuse may not qualify one in receiving a restraining order. Emotional or verbal abuse may not even be considered a criminal offense in some states. Potential barriers. So, lack of resources, stigmas against violence or abuse may prevent someone from getting adequate treatment. Fear of additional violence if they leave. Feelings and beliefs like low self-esteem. Religion. Many religions can view divorce as a sin. And responsibility. So they may have children, housework, family, or community that's holding them back, or they may want, a lot of people do want to stay because of the children and are worried about their welfare. There are regions in the world that have higher incidences of violence and crime, but it is important to acknowledge that violence can happen anywhere and to anyone. Violence is a global public health problem, not just local. So for the health disparities, socioeconomic status, I focused mostly on gang members for this one, but this can also actually work for domestic violence as well. So you want to look at the neighborhood. A lot of these people are from lower income neighborhoods, occupations. Some of them may not have great jobs because a lot of them do not finish school, and that leads into education. So they can be high school dropouts. Their families can be dropouts as well. So getting higher education can be challenging. And single parent households as well can lead to health disparities because money and time may not be a given in these households. Race and ethnicity. So citizenship is huge, especially in the Latin communities, where they may be scared to go to the doctor or hospital because they're afraid of getting reported to ICE, especially with how the air is nowadays. Many are reluctant to go because they're afraid of being reported or being separated from their families. And you see the detention centers that we're keeping these people in. It can just lead to fear. Also, there is bias that they're afraid of, discrimination, assumptions about who they are, what they do, what they look like, judgment, that can lead to judgment from other people. There could be a language barrier. They may not speak English. And culture. A lot of, and I'm mostly focusing on Hispanic culture here for my population, but a lot of the culture in gang affiliates is that you don't go to the doctor. You don't put yourself out there like that. You want to keep your head down and just kind of just live by the streets, you know. Religion becomes a factor with symbolism, especially symbolism in the gang community. A lot of gang members do have or are from Catholic or Christian descent. So having a picture of Jesus Christ or Mary, Mother of Magdalene, that's very symbolic. They view it as having protection. A lot of, again, with the Latin community being focused in the gang culture, like healing is like a big thing, like home remedies are widely believed in, as well as tradition. So gender, this is huge in the gang community. Also with like domestic violence, you see increased numbers in females with domestic violence, and this is also the case in gang communities. So women are often the subject of abuse. They're the ones that are controlled in the relationship, especially in gangs as well. They can be runners, they can be drug mules, they can be sold into human trafficking, they can be used for prostitution, they can be used pretty much for any crime. And a lot of times the head of the household is the man. And so when it comes to healthcare, a lot of times they will do the speaking for the woman or decide whether or not they can go to the doctor or not. And thought process, especially in this culture, it's believed that you keep your head down, you keep your mouth shut, and just do what you're told. Geographical location, again, focusing on gangs, especially the ones in Los Angeles. The hospital's location, a lot of gang activity happens around the county hospitals, so resources are low because there's so many patients that they're trying to see, including the inmate population. Low income, again, it goes into how much healthcare is accessible. Increased crime rates, the mode of transportation, a lot of them have to take the bus. They don't have access to a car, so getting to and from the hospital, to and from the pharmacy, to and from appointments can be difficult. Utilizing telehealth for these reasons to reach this population would be vastly helpful, I think. But it's also breaking into these communities can be very hard, I feel, especially into domestic violence or gang populations where their lifestyle is more protected because there is a lot of criminal behavior. So bias is huge with the gang population as well as the domestic violence population. People may think they're low-class people, they're dirty. Not so much domestic violence victims, but more so their abusers, and especially with the gang population. Criminals, illegal immigrants is huge. Language, they may think that they don't speak the language. They may think they have no education, and their use of illicit drugs and alcohol would be huge. So getting past these biases or biases as healthcare providers is very important, but also showing these communities that we're there for them and they will not be judged, I think is also a big part of it. So international scope, I just put like universal healthcare. countries that have universal health care. So you have Switzerland, New Zealand, Germany, Norway, Sweden, Canada, and United Kingdom. I think it's not going to solve all these problems, but I think it's a good start to make healthcare accessible for everyone. And that way they can maybe work on preventative health care, so they don't have to wait till they are sick. But again, with this population, violence is huge. So a lot of these people come in with traumatic injuries like stabbings, shootings, lacerations. So universal health care won't exactly help that. I think we need to, again, delve into these communities and let them know that we're here, especially, I mean, for both communities, domestic violence and gang communities. Just let them know that we're here and that we support them and that there are resources for them as well as everyone else, and that they're not being discriminated against or judged. If we can reach these communities and make that known, I think we can make great advancements in getting them the care they need.